What makes the national anthem so difficult is that it's got this really wide range. Low notes, and then it's got high notes. And of course, the highest note being on the word free towards the end. And then some people do it even higher than that. They'll add an extra note, like where it goes, or the really high note. I'm Bryan Nichols, and I'm an associate professor of music at Penn State University. I love hearing the national anthem at the Super Bowl because it's always a name I know. It's a name everybody knows because it's such a huge event. And it's common that the national anthem in our country and in lots of countries around the world is performed at major convenings of people. So sporting events, celebrations and ceremonies, it's very common. Our national anthem has been the national anthem since 1931. So almost 100 years of us having this tradition at the beginning of major events like we do. The history of the national anthem is that it was penned by Francis Scott Key. He was a lawyer, but he was also a poet. And this was in the War of 1812 in a battle of Fort McHenry just outside of Baltimore. And of course, famously, in the dawn's early light, he saw this very large version of the American flag flying in the wind, and he was inspired to write these words. But it wasn't until a little bit later that the song was set to an old British tune, and with its skips down, oh sake, and then skips back up, can you see, and the tune that everybody recognizes today. So the national anthem is just a known difficult song because it's got this huge range from low notes to really high notes, the highest note on the word free being the really important one towards the end. And it really matters where you key the voice in your range so that when you get to the high note, it sounds really good. Our research shows that some singers are really good at picking the range and the key that's right for their voice. And that would be really important for an event like this, because if you pick a key that's too high, well, then you have to adjust it down to get to the high note. And nobody wants to hear that in a stadium full of 100,000, hopefully, screaming fans. Whitney Houston did the song in the key of A flat, like my choir does. Chris Stapleton did it in the key of D, and it sounds like Charlie Puth is going to do it in the key of D flat, which must be right for his voice. I think Charlie Puth is an excellent choice for the national anthem at the Super Bowl because he's a consummate musician. He's a known good singer, great songwriter, and he can produce music really well. So like in the case of this year, Charlie's going to sing it live. He's assured us that it's live, but also there'll be some pre-recorded parts. Like that's really important in a stadium where you're playing live, but it's also being broadcast like it is here. And it's also important if you have strings and other vocals because balancing those instruments is really hard live, and it's hard for broadcasting too. So there will be some pre-recorded elements. One thing I look forward to every year at the national anthem at the Super Bowl is who's doing the sign language, because in the case of the Super Bowl, it's always shown on the screen, and so is the other music at the Super Bowl. And this year, it's Fred Michael Beam, who is a known deaf performer and artist, and the choice of who does the sign language with the singer is kind of a really important choice and often a personal choice for the musician, because the person doing ASL is going to be a mirror of the person who is singing. And so I'm always really anxious to see who that is and what that looks like. That's hard for all of its kinds of reasons. And then there's performing with amplification like singers at the Super Bowl will do, and that's hard for its own reasons too. But so often it really just goes perfectly, and that's just really beautiful that you can put so many variables together and it go off without a hitch, and it takes a lot of people to make that happen.